Once upon a time, in the rich kingdom of Eldoria, Queen Seraphina ruled with grace and wisdom. Her beauty was renowned far and wide, but her heart had remained untouched since the passing of her beloved husband, King Alaric. The queen's daughter, Princess Isolde, was the jewel of the court, youthful, spirited, and adored by all. Yet unbeknownst to her mother, Isolde harboured a secret affection for one of the palace guards, a young man named Cedric. Cedric was no ordinary guard. He was tall and handsome, with piercing green eyes and a quiet strength that commanded respect. His loyalty to the crown was unwavering, and his kindness had won the hearts of many in the castle. Princess Isolde had often stolen glances at him during her walks in the gardens, her heart fluttering each time their eyes met. But Cedric, ever dutiful, kept his distance, knowing the class difference that lay between a princess and a guard. One evening, Queen Seraphina found herself walking down the palace halls, unable to sleep. The weight of her responsibilities pressed heavily upon her, and she followed a sweet melody in the moonlit gardens. As she strolled among the roses, she heard the faint sound of a lute being played. Curious, she followed the melody and found Sir Cedric seated on a stone bench, his fingers skillfully plucking the strings. The queen paused, captivated by the haunting beauty of the music. Cedric looked up, surprised, and immediately rose to his feet, bowing deeply. "Your Majesty, forgive me. I did not mean to disturb you." Seraphina smiled softly. "There is nothing to forgive, Sir Cedric. Your music is enchanting. Please continue." Hesitantly, Cedric resumed playing, and the queen sat beside him, closing her eyes as the melody washed over her. For the first time in years, she felt a sense of peace. As the night wore on, they spoke of many things, of duty, of loss, and of the quiet joys that life still offered. Seraphina found herself drawn to Cedric's gentle nature and the depth of his thoughts, while Cedric, in turn, was moved by the queen's vulnerability and strength. Without them knowing, Princess Isolde was also having a walk through the gardens that night, her thoughts consumed by Cedric. When she saw her mother sitting beside him, their heads close in conversation, a pang of jealousy shot through her. She retreated to her chambers, her heart heavy with confusion and hurt. In the weeks that followed, Queen Seraphina and Sir Cedric's encounters became more frequent. They shared stolen moments in the gardens, their bond deepening with each passing day. The queen, long resigned to a life of solitude, found herself falling in love with the guard who had brought light back into her world. Cedric, though torn by the impropriety of his feelings, could not deny the connection he felt with her. Princess Isolde, meanwhile, grew increasingly distant. She could not understand why Cedric seemed to avoid her, nor why her mother's eyes sparkled with a joy she had not seen in years. One fateful evening, unable to bear the weight of her emotions, Isolde confronted Cedric in the stables. "Why do you avoid me, Sir Cedric?" she demanded, her voice trembling. "Have I done something to offend you?" Cedric's heart ached at the pain in her eyes. "Princess, you have done nothing wrong. It is I who am at fault. My feelings, they are complicated." "Complicated?" Isolde echoed, her voice breaking. "Do you not care for me at all?" Cedric hesitated, torn between his duty and his heart. "I care for you deeply, Princess, but my heart, it belongs to another." Isolde's world shattered. "Who?" she whispered, though deep down she already knew the answer. Before Cedric could respond, Queen Seraphina appeared at the stable entrance, her expression one of sorrow and understanding. "Isolde," she said gently, "we must talk." The three of them stood in silence, the weight of their unspoken emotions hanging heavy in the air. Seraphina reached out to her daughter, her voice filled with compassion. "I never meant to hurt you, my dear. But love, as you will learn, is not something we can control." Isolde's tears flowed freely as she looked between her mother and Cedric. "How can this be?" she cried. "How can you both betray me so?" "It was never our intention," Cedric said softly. "But the heart follows its own path. In the days that followed, the palace was filled with tension. Isolde avoided both her mother and Cedric. her heart torn between love and betrayal. Serafina, burdened by guilt, tried to repair the broken relationship between them, but the princess remained distant. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Isolde found herself standing at the edge of the palace's highest tower. The wind tugged at her hair as she gazed out over the kingdom, her thoughts a whirlwind of emotions. She felt a presence behind her and turned to see Cedric approaching, his expression filled with concern. "Isolde," he said gently, "please, come away from the edge." "Why should I?" she replied, her voice bitter. "What is left for me now?" Cedric stepped closer, his eyes pleading. "You are the future of this kingdom. Your people need you. And I need you to know that my love for you, though different from what you hoped, is no less real." Isolde's resolve wavered as she searched his face. "But you love her," she whispered. "I do," Cedric admitted, "but that does not diminish the care I have for you. You are like a sister to me, Isolde, and I would give my life to protect you." Tears streamed down Isolde's cheeks as she finally allowed herself to let go of the pain that had consumed her. She stepped away from the edge and into Cedric's embrace, finding consolation in his words. In the weeks that followed, the three of them worked to rebuild the trust that had been broken. Though the road was not easy, they found a way to move forward, bound by their shared love for each other and for the kingdom they served. And so, in the kingdom of Eldoria, love triumphed over heartache, and the bonds of family proved stronger than the trials of the heart. Queen Serafina and Cedric's love remained a secret, known only to a few. While Princess Isolde grew into a wise and compassionate ruler, her heart healed by the power of forgiveness. And they all lived, not happily ever after, but with the quiet understanding that love, in all its forms, is both a blessing and a challenge, one worth embracing no matter the cost.